Thank you, Commission members, for the opportunity to offer public testimony today. My name is Dr. Pam Anglin. I'm president of Paris Junior College. Our main campus is in Paris, but we have centers in both Greenville and Sulphur Springs. We're a comprehensive community college with an annual unduplicated enrollment of 7,500 credit students. We proudly offer a variety of academic programs, workforce education training, and an array of continuing education instruction across our Northeast Texas service area. You have already heard Dr. Brent Wallace, who provided a perspective on the draft recommendations from the Texas Association of Community Colleges. Paris Junior College is a member of TACC, so my purpose today is to amplify a few things already said by Dr. Wallace, but from the perspective of small and medium-sized community colleges. First, let me add my note of appreciation to each of you for taking on this very complex issue of community college finance and producing a set of recommendations that have the potential to be truly game-changing for the future of community colleges in this state. As Dr. Wallace stated, many of these recommendations track with our TACC recommendations, and I echo my colleague's statement that we are encouraged by the recommended change from an allocation method for state funding based primarily on contact hours to one that is dynamic and outcomes driven. In other words, we favor a lift all boats approach that, as Commissioner Keller recently described, would allow individual colleges to not be in competition with each other, but only with themselves. This approach would benefit community colleges of all sizes across the state. As you know, colleges like mine face some unique challenges: low property values, high variance and volatility in these values, declining or dispersed populations, lack of capital to jumpstart needed investments in workforce education capacity, and insufficient resources to address a variety of operational needs. Paris Junior College, for example, serves 5½ counties with its taxing district being only Lamar County. If our entire service area were in the taxing district, we would be in the top quartile of tax bases out of all 50 community colleges in the state. And even though our assessed value has grown approximately $1 billion a year each of the last 2 years, that equates to less than $300,000 per year in new property tax revenue. Our no new revenue rate, for example, this year, no new revenue rate is 0.0669, 6.69 cents. Our voter approval rate is 7.5 cents. We're proposing a 7.49% rate, or 7.49 cent rate for this next year. Thus, we are glad to see important language in the draft recommendations that would assist in meeting many of these needs. The establishment of a foundational guaranteed yield would help to address the challenges of small and rural-facing colleges, though I agree that consistency and predictability, as stated by Dr. Wallace in his testimony, are important touchstones for this guaranteed yield. For example, we would need to further clarify how sufficient base funding for the guaranteed yield will be determined, and whether it will consider the variance that occurs in property tax valuations. Likewise, increased funding for expanded workforce education training, including non-credit continuing education instruction, will be critical for colleges like mine to allow us to meet the growing needs of business and industry in our region of Northeast Texas. PJC has been fortunate to receive funding through 4 different True Grants this past year, and those have been used to meet immediate demands in high demand areas. The industry needs and demands for a skilled workforce have never been greater. The economic well-being and growth in our region depends on the college being able to continually provide a trained workforce, and is that way for every small and medium community college throughout the state. Finally, the growth of dual credit participation has been a success of our state's community colleges. Important recommendations are made by the Commission, particularly regarding the need for financial aid for economically disadvantaged students seeking to enroll in dual credit. We are encouraged by this call for targeted financial aid, but I would urge thoughtful attention to be given to the idea for a uniform tuition rate for dual credit and the impact this could have upon the business model for many of the colleges across the state. These decisions on tuition, as you know, are set by our elected boards, often with an eye towards access to our colleges and to compete with nearby four-year universities. Once service areas and taxing districts are brought into the mix, there's a surprising variety to how particularly small and rural-facing colleges recoup their investments in dual credit with different tuition rates and waivers. For example, we charge $150 for a 3-hour course, and we do that in order to remain competitive with our local regional university in offering dual credit. Our dual credit enrollment has grown to 43% of our total enrollment this fall semester. I will close by saying that this commission has done an excellent job of listening to the concerns of community colleges across the state. We thank Commissioner Keller, Chairman Hunt, and of course, all members of the commission, including my colleagues, who themselves are community college presidents and chancellors from across the state. Thank you for your hard work in producing these draft recommendations. All of our community colleges, whether small, medium, or rural-facing, or large and urban, are ready to continue to roll up our sleeves, work with each of you and the Texas legislature to find solutions that can sustain the vital role community colleges play in our great state. Thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Commission, questions for Pam? Yes, Steve.
Since I gave Brent,
I know, I'm ready for you, friend.
so how would you, I need some help over your recommendation over a uniform dual credit cap, a base, or what are you talking about? Pam and I have known each other for a long time.
Long time.
Anyway, so I'm not, but I know you brought this up before. I'm kind of curious about, because I don't know. I really don't know. If you don't know, that's fine too.
I don't know. I think a uniform one, because of the differences in the community colleges and the current situations we're in. As I start looking at it, everybody's a little bit different. Even when we do a TACC survey, you can't even put the results together because we're all so different. You can start, but then it's kind of all
Is your
over.
competition the universities or other community colleges in your area, or both?
Repeat that, please.
Is your competition the universities or other community colleges?
Well, there's two things. We compete against a local university who offers $150 in dual credit tuition. And they pay their adjuncts more than we pay ours.
Got it, okay.
So in working with the school districts, it's more on the services that we're able to provide, and they stay with us because of the services. But we have lost some community colleges or some school districts because of the university going in and offering.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Anglin. by the way, for those of you who don't know, PJC happens to be in my district, and I'm a proud product of PJC, so a former student there. But thank you for your testimony. And I guess my question, sort of following up on the previous question, I guess I'm confused maybe, or maybe need some clarification on the tuition for dual credit. Would the set fee put you at a disadvantage to the regional university that's down the road?
If the set fee did not apply to the universities.
Okay.
If it was a set fee across the board, in my particular case, it would be good. Because with $150, as you can imagine, it's a mixture. There are times that it's not easy, and we don't cover our cost sometimes offering a class. We do offer online dual credit because that was our way to make sure all of our rural school districts had access.
And then you also deal with the difference in what you pay the adjunct, and
yes,
that is a trigger as well.
Now I need to clarify that on the CTE classes, for those classes that are high cost to teach, we charge our regular tuition rate because there's no way we could teach a class that has a really high supply cost, such as a welding class, and charge them $150.
So do you believe for Paris Junior College that the recommendations we have in this report, you guys would be in a better place?
We would be in a better place.
Okay.
I sit here today representing all the small and mediums, but for Paris Junior
Sure.
College, we would be in a better place.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I ask Pam a question?
Yes.
So Pam, if it was a uniform tuition rate to drive financial aid, if that didn't lock you in what you could charge a student or your school district, would that change? I mean, it still comes down to what your university is going to.
That's right.
Yeah.
But school districts do shop, and we've had that in our region where they shop among all of us in Northeast Texas to get the lowest price, and it's a situation where the presidents of all of those colleges, we work together, and we talk to if I get a call from a school that's not in my service area, I pick up the phone and call the president of the school, of the service area that they reside in. So we all work together to make sure school districts are served in our neck of the woods, and make sure everybody's treated fairly.
So I think from the state standpoint, I mean, their goal is obviously in spending, could be up to an additional $50 million per year on dual credit scholarships, is to allow people that would not otherwise have the opportunity for that dual credit course to actually achieve that. So to the degree that the community colleges have the flexibility to continue to set the tuition, and they set it at a level that the student isn't able to proceed, and of course, then it defeats the purpose. Now, the question you would say, well, they're not going to really do that. You might still set a higher tuition, but you're still going to set it low enough. But how low does it have to be? It might have to be zero for that student to actually be able to go. So that's the dilemma. I think we're committed, and the coordinating board's committed to take as much input and try to figure out, what's the best possible way to deal with these particular comments. So.
Yeah. And that is critical because we see students that we know need to be in dual credit that aren't currently enrolled, and we do free and reduced lunch scholarships for high school dual credit students, and we have a limited dollar amount, but we allot the money to all of the schools that we serve so that they can use it for their students.
I guess I don't really see a problem, and I'm happy to be wrong, that if the tuition rate was a cap, if you want to go below it, you could for competition reasons. The thing I just struggle with is how your local revenues are determined, i.e. in district, out of district, is the reason we got in this situation to begin with. And I wouldn't want to perpetuate it by having the fact that you're 80-20 or 20-80 determine what your tuition is for kids, because you're just going to create that barrier all over again through the financial aid.
Okay. Thank you.